Hey there, fish keepers. Dean here. Put together a little video on breeding Medaka. It's super easy. I got these Medaka from April's Aquarium and fattened them up on Daphnia, brine shrimp, and soon enough I had eggs. Probably within a couple of weeks. They were in pretty good shape when I got them. They lay their eggs in a cluster on their anal fin, and then the females go around the tank and deposit the eggs, typically individually on java moss and leaves and things like that. But I couldn't find any in the tank at all, and I let a few females deposit their clusters all over the tank, and they were gone. I don't know if they were eating them or what. But I never found any. So luckily, Alexander Williamson with Fish Story showed us all how to take off eggs from Medaka. Super easy. Just be very gentle with them and slide those eggs off of there. Keep the fish wet, do it as quick as you can. And I did it probably about 15 or 20 times, and there was no problems with any of the females afterwards. They did fine. Put them back into the tank. They were totally good to go, like nothing happened. They were pretty used to it by the end. So throw your eggs into methylene blue, let them sit for a couple of weeks, and soon enough you have fry. These are a couple of weeks old, not just newborn ones, but the ones that were just hatched actually ate seromicron fry food right away. But you can see these guys are pretty feisty. I didn't think that they would be a very feisty fish. I thought they would be a lot more docile and domesticated, but you can see even with the fry, they don't take any guff. Even when you're just a little teeny tiny guy, you'll take on somebody twice your size. So I found them to have pretty interesting behavior for a fish that's been domesticated for so long. They still have a bit of that wild fire to them. But they did really well. They took brine shrimp within, 3-4 days. And now I've got enough that it's safe to put them out into the pond. I needed to have a reserve stock because I didn't want to lose the strain. It was super nice. And this is my deck pond that I've got set up for Medaka out here. I set it up probably the end of April, beginning of May, to accommodate these guys outside. I put a heater in it so that I could put them out earlier, because I have a big pond in the back, but you got to wait until the temperature comes up. So this way I can get tropical fish outside earlier. You can see them going out here. By the time I put them out, they'd colored up really well. They took them a while to color up, a couple of weeks, but now they've got a lot of red in their fins, and they look really good. They're looking really golden. Excellent to see from above. They stay near the surface. And this is what the pond looks like from above. You can see the Medaka show up really, really good in there, being yellow. It's a good color for them. And next we'll take a little bit closer look at the pond. So this is my Medaka pond here in the middle of the afternoon. I've got it against the south-facing part of my patio. And that south-facing portion is covered by a big lilac tree, so it just gets some diffused light going through it. I put out all kinds of different plants for my aquariums to try out here. I've got a heater in here that's keeping it at 70 degrees, so I was able to put it out about 6 weeks before I normally am able to put tropical fish out in the yard or in my pond. I wouldn't be able to afford to heat that. It's huge. So doing this on the deck pond is let me put out some fish earlier in the year to check out. So you can see here the Medaka, which you've seen going into the pond a while back, and they're doing really good. They've been breeding like crazy. I've got a little spawning mop set up here for them. Before I put them out, I made sure I had lots. As you can see in the previous portion of this video, that I collected eggs and made sure they hatched before I put them out here. This Youkihi strain is really super nice. I'm quite happy with them. Darren from April's Aquarium picked them out, hand-picked them out for me himself, so they're of pretty good quality. And but I've added a few other types of fish in here. I don't know if we'll be able to see them though, but there's some Rhadnocentrus ornatus that I got from Corrine, one of my fish friends from Calgary, she swapped me for some Kalitawa, Melatonania Kalitawa. And it was a pretty awesome trade for me, that's for sure. They were nice big rads, about 5 males and just a couple of females. But they've been breeding in here, and I don't know if they're breeding all in the Java moss or what the deal is, but I haven't been able to find any eggs in the spawning mop that I got in here yet. But I'm sure I will by the end of the summer. And there's also some honey blue eyes in here. They're pretty small. They're like about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. There's one dominant male that kind of hangs around this corner in here. There's 10 of them. I can see one. I can see a couple there. There's one against the back part of the deck pond. There's also I've got a sponge filter in here with a power head on it, and it makes pretty good flow, so it's really cool. All the fish line up. It kind of puts the water in a circular pattern. So they usually line up along the flow and feed like that. It's really cool to watch. I've also got some orange neocaridinea shrimp in here. I think I can see one down there. Might have to zoom in on him a little bit here though. Yeah, he's down in there below the Anubias. But some orange guys from my regular stock, and they should reproduce out here. I got a nice rock pile that even LRB would be proud of. And that should get me some shrimp over the course of the summer, but I'm waiting for these honey blue eyes to grow up a bit bigger, and they're going to be awesome. They're hard to find. Curtis from Common Sense Aquatics went down to Montana to get them for me, so that was a pretty big trip, but the fish seem to be well worth it. They're doing pretty well. I can see one in there now. But they're pretty small, but one of the males is showing up pretty good. He's got some nice markings on him, but you can even see like the females here, they kind of glow green. They'll get more colorful as they get bigger. So what I did was I put, you can see the Medaka, they're fairly territorial. I thought they'd be like guppies, but the males don't like other males in their territories, so they've been pretty neat to watch. And they keep the other fish pretty comfortable too, because the Medaka they're pretty oblivious to people being above the tank, fairly domesticated type fish. So it's good to have them in here for sure. And I don't see any rads kicking around, but they are kicking around. They're pretty big, so we'll see them yet. But I'll go through the plants that I put out here. So I got lots of Anubias. It actually did the worst of everything, you wouldn't think, but there's a little bit of dieback with it. Everything else, though, has done really well. I've got some pennywort, Hygrophila polysperma, Rosa nervig, some of that, and some regular hygropoly. And then I've got some spiky moss. I got some creeping jenny from my buddy Neil, who had it in his pond last year. That's really cool. So I put it in little pots to grow up to the top. And I've got a bunch of little clumps of the spiky moss in the back here and all around the tank that I'm going to put on that back wall and make it look nice later on. But I also got some Ligwigia palustris super red. It's doing really good. I'm really happy with it. It gives it a different color. I'm going to put it all into one patch later on. Of course, I got the tiger lotus because the pond was also about growing a tiger lotus and hopefully having it flower here in the summer. And what else? I got some crypts on the bottom. Oh, that looks like there's a crypt there. So Griffitha, Lutea, and Aponegitifolia, or not Aponegitifolia, Uvulensis is in there. So I've got a fair number of plants that I'm just trying out, and actually everything's done super well so far. Well, there's some subacertane down there too. Just a little clump of it, but you want to try everything. It's the first time I've done the deck pond. I've tried all my tropical plants out in my big pond. They just get covered in algae, so not worth it. And it's been pretty stable so far. Like, I haven't had anything as far as algae going on. A bit of hair algae that has come out in clumps, and I've just plucked those out of there as they've come up, and otherwise it's been completely, or mostly algae free. It looks like there's a bit of spot algae forming on some of the rocks down there. But I put it in a spot that doesn't get much light, or at least I can adjust the light. So if I'm getting too much light on it, I can knock back the lilac a bit. But I haven't, I just left it alone, and it actually might be getting a little bit less light than what I want, but I can always take down a few branches or knock out a few leaves to get a bit of diffuse light. It gets a bit of straight sunlight in the morning, but only for about an hour. The portion on the right sees most of that, and you can see the growth there is really super good. So if you've never tried a deck pond before, I'd highly recommend it. This is just a 40-gallon feeding trough that I covered with slate and put a nice ledgestone front on it. My wife thinks it's okay, so it's acceptable for our deck. I haven't quite finished it off yet. Slate is not always easy to come by the right size pieces, so I'm still looking for other pieces to kind of finish it off, but right now it looks pretty good. Hopefully you can see some of those rads before I end this, but it looks like they're hiding out right now. Normally they're right out front and center. And they're pretty big too. They're probably about 3-inch rads. Rhadnocentrus, ornatus, Teewah Creek, a super gorgeous strain. Really super happy with those guys. And typically they're creating quite a fuss towards the center of the tank, but they're hiding out in the weeds right now. So I had to go to the B-roll to find a little bit of video of the rads. They're pretty quick, so they'd quit spawning that day, so they were kind of hiding out. And I went and looked through some of the other video that I've had of the pond and found a bit of video of them. They're pretty tough to film. They're really fast, and the males are constantly displaying, so they're chasing each other all over the place. There's 5 males, 2 females, so it's a bit of a gong show. If you look up on the right hand side here, you'll see the males start to display with each other pretty quick, and you can see how red they are. They're really super nice. You just get a really quick shot of one of the males there just flashing towards the other one, but they are out of there. So that's about it, all I have for rads. I wanted to show off the honey blue eyes a little bit more because you don't really get a sense of just how pretty those little guys are, and they're a really rare fish. So I'd never seen them before until I had them, and I took a little bit of B-roll looking for the little male who's starting to color up, and I found him and just watched them for a while. They were pretty oblivious to me being there, so I recorded them just swimming around. This is basically what I watch when I'm watching the pond on the deck, and it's super enjoyable. They like to line up in the current and eat little bits of food that come by, and sometimes the males will spar with each other a little bit. They're just starting to mature, so nothing too serious yet, but this is what I enjoy on a daily or every other day kind of a basis, and you guys can enjoy it here for a while too. I'll leave you just to check it out, and have yourself a great day. Happy fish keeping. Take care.